So you got a motor, a pulley, some gears, and there's the tire, and hey, welcome to this episode of Adler.tv. My name's Chris Adler, and I host this podcast/video series where every episode I sit down and chat with a new guest in a new location. New episodes come out every Thursday in your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Today's guest is Tim Diegmann. He builds custom electric skateboards that can carry a person over 30 miles per hour with a range of 30 miles without stopping to recharge the skateboard. It's amazing. Also, Tim, along with his business partner Joseph Ortega, own and operate two of Birmingham's original climbing/bouldering gyms. That's Birmingham Boulders and First Avenue Rocks. So I met Tim downtown and checked out his skateboard shop before we jumped on our electric skateboards and cruised across downtown Birmingham to Good People Brewing Company to chat. You may hear trains or buses or background noise, but that's just part of it when you do your show in a different location each week, so sorry about that. So, a little bit of background on how we became friends. It was actually, I was leaving this place with my boosted board. And I'm walking through the lobby here at Good People Brewing Company. It's a local brewing company here in Birmingham, Alabama. And I see another dude with a boosted board. And I was like, dude! And you were like, dude! And I was like, whoa, this guy's actually being nice back to me. This is crazy. I've never had this happen in my entire life before. I was like, dude, we gotta go ride sometime. Or maybe you said that, I forget. And I was like, that would be awesome. I don't have any friends, so this is great. We were kind of instant friends, and that doesn't happen to me very often, considering, you know, my personality and the way I look and the way I walk around and stuff like that. So thanks for being my friend, first of all.
Absolutely.
Tell me how you got into just making these electric skateboards that are so unbelievably capable, man.
Well, really, there's a huge online community that does this. You know, the like DIY electric skateboard stuff. It's a really big online community, and after I got a boosted board and kind of rode around on that for a while, you know, I figured that there's got to be something a little bit better out there, and then so, you know, sort of, you know, fishing around online and found this really cool forum, like you know, do-it-yourself electric skateboard, just e-skate builders forum, and started you know kind of ghosting around on there and reading about it. And then eventually just started, you know, tinkering and started building my own stuff and ordering parts. And there's a lot of really cool vendors kind of all over the world who build like really small batch stuff, and yeah, and a lot better than you can buy commercially. You know, I mean, you can get these you know, boosted board and these Riptide, all these things. They make really cool products that can kind of get you into it. But you know, you can build something a lot more capable if you're, you know, willing to put in some time and effort and do a little research. So it just kind of became a hobby kind of think, a way to spend my time, and been a lot of fun kind of learning about, you know, electronics and batteries, how to build batteries. I don't feel like I've been in like a learning mode like that in a long time. So while I'm, you know, doing something that's fun, like the building process itself is also really cool, because you get to learn a lot about things that I just never studied or been interested in before this. So I don't know, it's been a cool learning experience.
So you, like in the Army, did you do work with like, because there's gearing, there's so much that goes into it. I'm so bad at all that stuff, to be honest. A lot of, you know, staying on the shoulders of all these guys who are smarter than me, electrical engineers and mechanical engineers. They design stuff, and I'm just trying to put it together in a cool way, to be honest. But yeah, in the Army, I didn't do anything. I have friends who did, you know, a lot of electrical stuff in the military, but I was a medic myself. So yeah, kind of, you know, definitely a different skill set while I was in the military. In fact, I was bad at doing a lot of electrical stuff. You know, sometimes I have to have, you know, screw up the settings on my radio, and have to go find my buddy Stan to go and fix it for me. You know, but you know, you don't want anybody to know about that, because, you know, you're like, oh, okay, hey Stan, come on, man, just hook me up. I don't know what I'm doing. Come on, Stan.
Yeah, come on, man.
Let's talk about these batteries. Are they LiPo, lithium polymer? Or
no, we don't use lithium polymer. A lot of people use lithium polymer, but I definitely prefer lithium ion batteries. They're a little bit more stable, and once you learn how to build a pack properly, like an entire battery pack, because they're small cells, a little bit bigger than like a AA battery, but you're putting between 40 and like 80 cells in a battery pack, and learning how to use strips to connect all the batteries and putting them in parallel and series connections, and depending on how many amps amps you're going to pull versus what voltage you're going to be running. So it does take a lot of knowledge, but these lithium ions I feel like are a bit more stable and a bit more flexible in how you can build the battery pack to fit in different like enclosures or fit different shapes.
So in layman's terms, if just your general person was looking at a skateboard, you're talking about basically a skateboard that has like 40 to 80 just like AA batteries?
Yeah, big AA batteries. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can build them smaller, but like, on, like, say on your boosted board that you're riding, I mean, it has 12 batteries, 12 of these batteries in it. They're a little bit different than what I'm using, but I'm using like 50 or 60. So that's partially why I can go so much further. And part of the reason why I can go so much faster than your board is the fact that I have this big honking battery pack that can handle what I'm asking it to do.
So Boosted Board, the company that we keep referencing, they are the first company that I saw just on the map at all. It was really around the time when those quote-unquote hoverboards came out is when I first started seeing electric skateboards, and I'm like, wait a second, this is something that can go fast. Like, this is something I can cover some ground on. This is something I can, just put in a small area in my house. It's not going to take up a bunch of room, and this is cool. So I kind of tracked them, I watched them, and then I looked at the price tag, and these boards are like $1,500 a lot of times, and above. $1,200 to $1,500 for a skateboard is a big ask. So I'm sitting there stalking this company, like looking for refurbished ones online and stuff like that. And they just recently, I guess about a year ago, came out with a mini version of their skateboard, and that's what I just recently purchased. So it's about the size of a normal skateboard. For people that are just listening, not watching, it's about the size of a normal skateboard. It's got a tail on the back end. It's got, normal trucks, normal wheels for the most part, maybe a little bit bigger than a normal skateboard than you would see, but underneath the deck of the skateboard, and the deck is the thing that you stand on. That's where your feet go. Underneath that, there's a big battery pack and some electronics. That's where it's plugged in to recharge. And then right on your rear wheels, some of these electric skateboards have two motors. Some of them have just a single motor. Some of them have a motor on the inside of the wheel, or both inside of both wheels, or it's a belt or a gear-driven system like you were talking about, and that's what I've got right now. So it looks pretty much like a normal skateboard, but I can go 18 miles per hour. That's the fastest my board can go, and it can go about maybe 4 or 5 miles or so. Now let's get into this unreal beast that you have made.
Yeah, and it's not just me. A lot of guys, I mean, this is like kind of, if you're in the DIY scene, like what I build is like, I wouldn't say like exactly standard, but it's definitely, kind of become a standard of what, a lot of guys are doing this and not doing anything particularly special. But yeah, like, so my board goes about mid-30s, like about 35 miles an hour is the top speed on it, which is fast on a skateboard, especially that's on, flat ground. I can go that fast. The acceleration is so fast, it'll rip right underneath you if you're not ready. It goes 35 miles an hour, and I get about 30 miles of range instead of that 4. So with mine, you can actually truly use it as a commuter tool, and I do. Like I ride it from downtown to Birmingham Boulders, our climbing gym over, and near Lakeshore. So, and I live downtown. The route I take, obviously I'm not riding on the interstate, but I definitely go around, and it's like 7.5 miles or 8 miles, and I can actually go there and back and not have to charge my board. A lot of times I charge it when I'm there, because why not? But
sure.
But yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can actually use it for a true commuter tool, and it makes the commute fun. Like I get up early. It's like, by the time you get somewhere, I just rode 7.5 miles on electric skateboard, like going in the middle of the road, going 30, 35 miles an hour. That's a blast. It's an amazing way to drink some coffee, jet to work on this electric skateboard. By the time you get to work, got a little blood flowing. You're kind of exhilarated. Ready to get some stuff done, ready to go. So it's a cool way to commute For sure. And 1,500 is actually not even much to spend on these, to be honest with you. That's what, some of these, these boosted boards and stuff like that cost. Like on some of these custom builds, there are $2,500, $3,000 boards out there that are unbelievable. They're amazing. And those are, so, like anything else, you definitely get what you pay for.
And Boosted is mass producing these things, so they've got that whole supply chain, so they're able to get their price down a little bit more. My board, it was $799.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The day it came, the day they announced it and the day they opened orders, my wife knew that I was so wanting one of these things.
Oh, your wife got you that? I didn't know did she really?
She approved it.
Okay, good. Well, that's pretty much the same thing in my experience.
Exactly. Yeah, man. So she approved. I was like, baby, please just look. And she's just watching it and she's just like, oh no. And just like looking at the different features, she's like, oh, it's small too. You love small things. I'm like, yeah, I do. I love
do. That's good. Yeah. Compact, nice. Yeah.
But my one complaint with this board, I guess the speed I could complain about, but really 18 miles an hour for...
It's on a short board like that, man. That's great.
But it is, with it being a shorter board, it's a lot more stiff. Mm-hmm, so absolutely. You feel the bumps, you feel a lot more of the cracks in the concrete and stuff like that. But it was my first experience with one. It was my first board. I was like, all right, I'm going for it, and bought it, and I'm happy with the purchase. It is like, it's especially that like first 2-3 months I bought it, I rode it several miles every single day.
Oh yeah,
they've got
of course you did. I did too.
Yeah. In fact, Boosted's got a great app, and I can like see the total mileage on my board
for sure.
So I've got over 100 miles on this thing, and I've only had it for a couple good months of good weather. You know?
That's great.
I took the board over to my brother's house. He's got a 3-year-old, or he's 4 now, but at the time he was 3, little boy. I put him on my lap and we sit down on that board.
Oh, absolutely.
And we just cruised around the neighborhood, and it's like, I'm like, I've got a jet ski here. Like, this thing is as much recreational fun as a jet ski, and it's the size of a skateboard. It's just a fun, cool thing.
I do the same thing. I've got a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 7-month-old. And so I do the same thing. Well, not with the 7-month-old, but they sit them in my lap, and we go right around the parking lot. They love it. It's so much fun. I love doing that.
They love it. Like, we might as well be on a motorcycle. Like,
absolutely.
We are cruising.
My 5-year-old has his own board that he rides around on. I don't know if you saw. Yeah, so he has his own board that, and that thing goes like 12 or 13 miles an hour.
I've seen
that. He doesn't go that fast. He's a little bit scared, which I'm glad. But we pat him out, of course, and he rips around on that. We ride around all over the place. It's a blast riding around with him. So,
yeah, man.
Yeah, we got a little Star Wars theme on. It's pretty cool.
That's amazing, man. And my board has like several different difficulty modes or whatever, because when you're first starting out on these things, there is a learning curve. Like you mentioned, you want to lean forward, otherwise that board is going to go out from underneath you and you're going to end up on your butt. So when you're about to hit the juice. Oh, I guess I should talk about how these things are controlled. And this thing is so cool, man. Your little remote is like, did you make that out of wood?
No. This is a cool company that they sent me a remote that I could try out for a little bit of a discount to check it out, and it's called a Hoyt remote. A lot of times what we're using is like RC car component type stuff, and this actually is like a purpose built for electric skateboards. It's I think they're out of, I don't know where they are. I think they're out of Oregon or something, somewhere in the Northwest. But, it's made out of bamboo. It's CNC'd bamboo. And I don't know which one of those guys over there, but one of those guys is an electrical guy. And he designed this awesome frequency jumping technology stuff that's, definitely beyond my pay grade, but what it does is it helps you never to have a remote drop out. So you don't want to ever lose connection to your board, because your remote's wireless. So as you're riding down 30, 35 miles an hour, coming up to a red light, if your brakes don't work anymore, that's definitely not good. I mean, there's other ways to stop, of course, for emergency stuff, but that's never something that you want to happen. So they designed a really cool product that I've enjoyed using a lot.
Yeah, most people think, they see me, that people that don't know about these things, they'll see me cruising around and they think I'm like pushing a button with my feet.
Yeah, they don't understand how they're controlled. I mean, like fundamentally, it doesn't really make any sense. Like as you see somebody, because a lot of times from a distance you can't even tell that there's motors on this thing, especially if you don't even know these things exist. Which I don't know, why would you? A lot of times,
right?
It looks mysterious. Somebody like jetting around, going uphill 25, 30 miles an hour up a steep hill. People don't even know what's happening, and they pull up to you, and more often than not, like people, pull up to you at a red light, and they're like, what, what is that?
It happened on the way here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, pretty much every time you go right around, like somebody like, wants a business card for you to build them a board, and that's no matter what you're riding. I'm sure you get the same treatment on your boosted board.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I want one right now. Yeah, people stop you and hail you down and want to know what this, what this new piece of technology is.
The remote in your hand has a little wheel on it.
Yeah.
And when you roll the wheel forward, kind of extend your thumb, that makes the wheels go forward. That makes the skateboard go forward. And the thing that I almost my second favorite thing about this board is that when you roll your fingers back, or when you roll your thumb backwards, it's slowing you down. And eventually, if you slow all the way down, it'll send you backwards, which is fine too. It's got a reverse, essentially. But the reverse acts like a brake. And so I've busted so many times on real skateboards, many times.
Of course,
broke my wrist, broke my thumb. Like, I have jacked myself up very badly. I was skateboarding with my dog for a long time, just on a normal skateboard. And my dog Kevin he's a pit bull. He's very competitive, but he's also got some greyhound in him, so he's very fast. So he's like the strongest dog mixed with the fastest dog. He's awesome. So I would actually put a harness on him and crouch down low and kind of just hold him like right kind of at the level of my belly button, kind of there as I'm crouching down. And his desire, because he always wants to just beat me in a race.
Yeah.
And so it's not like he wants to pull me. He doesn't really like say like, let's go,
Mm-hmm.
He really wants to get ahead of me and beat me in a race. So I just hold him just like an inch behind me, and we take off. Like, I use that as like propulsion to go around this park by my old house when I lived downtown. We would do laps at Underwood Park, and it's downhill and uphill.
Oh,
and
yeah, I know Underwood. Yeah, absolutely. It's a blast.
We would do that loop like 3 and 4 times a row, never stopping. Like, I had to get like a crazy system down where I had him on like an extending leash to give me a little bit of a gap, so that like, because if he was on a leash, he could just take off, and I'd be like, I'd be going 20 miles an hour. I can't run 20 miles an hour.
I can't get out of that.
Yeah, I can't get out of that. Exactly. I've no escape. So I figured out a few ways to not wreck as much. I started wearing my motorcycle helmet all the time because I cracked my head open one time. Yeah, it was a learning curve. I busted a whole lot of times before I figured out, okay, buddy. And he would get to the point where if I would kind of let him go, he would cut me off, and I would have to bail. And that's how I broke my wrist, because he cut me off, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna either break my dog's legs or I'm gonna have to bail. So I jumped in the air, and I just messed my hand up real bad. And
the old foosh injury.
Yeah,
that's never fun.
So that was a really cool and fun time in my life. But now we go out with this boosted board, and now I have brakes, and now he can just run, but he can just run with me.
Absolutely.
He can run, I can propel myself, and we can go tear around our neighborhood.
You can get him exhausted.
Exactly.
Yeah, go to sleep, you.
A tired dog is a good dog, man.
Absolutely.
Like, you'd probably say the same about your kids.
I would say the same about my kids.
And so, that's been huge just for me to get in like 4 or 5 minutes. I can rip around my neighborhood with my dog, tire him out. He comes back inside. He's got a huge smile on his face, and he passes out. Good People is not just a name.
They're an awesome organization. We love them a lot. They help us out a ton over at the climbing gym. Like, they do a lot for us, help sponsor our events, help get us beer for events and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, we love them a lot, and they help us out a lot.
Let's talk about bouldering.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, what is bouldering?
Me and my business partner, we own 2 climbing gyms in town, like First Avenue Rocks, which is downtown on First Avenue South. It's down the road a bit from Railroad Park. Been there since 2009. Awesome little gym. And then we have another one that's called Birmingham Boulders. It's over kind of near Lakeshore, and so we have they're bouldering gyms. So you have rock climbing. Obviously, it's indoor rock climbing, and there's like a few different types of climbing. And what we specialize in is bouldering. It's typically not as tall as a lot of climbing is. So eliminates a lot of the need for ropes and that sort of thing. So we're climbing, normally under 18 feet or so, and we have these giant pads that you're climbing above. So you're climbing, doing these routes above these pads, and you can fall onto the pads instead of like learning how to use ropes and belay systems, that sort of thing. So it's definitely a different style of climbing. And what's really cool about bouldering is it's a lot more social than other forms of climbing. So it's like a lot more like hanging out with people, trying these different routes, and you're all kind of in a group and like watching each other, encouraging each other. It's a lot of fun. There's also a lot fewer barriers to entry than some of the rope climbing stuff. A lot less systems to learn, that kind of thing. It's like, you can get a pair of shoes and be climbing and trying stuff and having fun and still getting that sense of adventure, and after 5 minutes after you walk in the door, versus having to go through a long process of learning rope systems and all the rules and all that kind of thing. This is a lot, kind of knock down a few of the barriers to entry, which is kind of fun. It's easier to get into.
Yeah, man. So it's a rock climbing gym or bouldering gym. So rock climbing gym would be, three.
Well, I mean, it's all rock climbing. It's all big umbrella. It's all rock climbing. But then you have other gyms that have have rope stuff, and then you have gyms that are bouldering specific, and we're definitely bouldering specific, and that's appropriate because like Alabama's definitely kind of a as far as rock climbing, it's a very bouldering place. We have this place that's like 40 minutes north of Birmingham that's called Horsepins 40. That's like a world-class bouldering destination. I mean, it has some of the best bouldering and literally in the country. So so we're definitely kind of a bouldering focused state. A lot of the people who climb definitely focus on bouldering a little bit more than the other forms of climbing. But So that's kind of why we went that direction. We could have done a rope gym, but I don't know. We like this when we're climbing indoors. When we're training, doing stuff like bouldering is a good way to do it. It's not only is a lot of fun, but it's a good way to train. It's a lot easier. You don't need to have a bunch of partners. You don't need to have.
It can be just you.
Just walk in. You just need yourself, and you need some, need yourself and some motivation, or a crew to go with you. It's just to us, it's a lot more flexible. Whether you take climbing really seriously and you want to train and get strong, we've got a really awesome training facility, or whether you want to like try something new and have a little fun and get a little fitness while you're doing it.
Dude, yeah, I hadn't thought about, because Dick's Sporting Goods here in town used to have that wall.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Years and years
long
and
time
years ago.
Right? There's been historically, right? There's been some climbing gyms that have like popped up, right?
But they got rid of it.
Yeah. Dick's got rid of it because come on, like who's managing that place? Like what's going on? It's a Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yeah.
They don't really know what we're doing. Like between me and my business partner Joe. Joe's been climbing for forever.
By the way, this is a super random connection that I had with Joe from Birmingham Boulders before I even met Tim or became friends with Tim. So I'm flying my drone at work, and I crash my drone into a tree. It was terrible. I saw my whole life flash before my eyes as I watched it crash into the tree. I figure out which tree the drone is in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no way I can get this drone down. It's like 50 feet up in the air. The lowest branch is several stories up. There's no way I can get this drone down. I've got $1,000 worth of drone just sitting in a tree right now. So I called around to several tree services in the area, and none of the tree services wanted to do the job for me at all. And I got the idea, what if I called a climbing gym? Those guys use ropes and rappelling stuff all the time. So I called them up, and luckily Joe answered the phone. I was like, hey, is there anybody there that would be able to climb to the top of a tree and get this drone down for me? And Joe was like, sure, I'll do it, man. So my drone spends the night in a tree. Luckily, it doesn't rain. Joe meets me at this place the next day, climbs up the tree, and grabs my drone, gets it down for me, and boom, I have my drone back. I couldn't believe I got my drone back. Thank you, Joe, so much. I still owe you so much. I still fly that drone all the time. In fact, that's the one we were flying at Railroad Park right here. That's something I had not thought about. The difference between when you're strapping yourself into a harness and going 3 and 4 stories up into the air, like you're kind of by yourself.
So first of all, the guy who is belaying you, if you're doing that rope climbing, the guy who's belaying you, he's, obviously, thank goodness, stuck on the other end of the rope, belaying you and making sure you don't, fall all the way to the ground. Then you're up 20 or 30 feet by yourself. I mean, if you're working a route, you might be up there for a while, trying to learn moves or do what you do, so you're up there for a while. So it's like, compared to bouldering, to me, it does feel kind of a little bit isolated. It's just really easy to form friendships when you boulder, and it's just to us it always felt so much more social, so much more in a way of like creating a culture, a way of just hanging out and like doing something like not only just rock climbing, kind of beyond that. It's a good way to it's like fun functional fitness. For a lot of our members, it kind of becomes like a little bit of a lifestyle, and we really appreciate that. I feel like we really have a community because of that.
Yeah. First Avenue Rocks, I can't believe. So you said 2008?
2009 is
2009.
When
okay,
this is when Joe opened that thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So that was before, and I was like, man, I hope that's so cool. Man, I hope that place does well, because that was before this gigantic baseball field was built behind us.
Right? I mean, Joe did this, he opened, I was in the Army still when Joe opened First Ave. We partnered up later when I got out of the Army, and we opened up the second gym. But in 2009, there was nothing to do downtown, right? This was like, the economy just kind of went, was a little bit wonky, in that time.
Man.
Y'all remember 2009, right?
Yes, yes. I had just graduated, and it was literally the worst job market since the since the Great Depression.
Right, and then my dumb friend Joe from California. I'm just kidding with it, but he opened up. He's like, I'm gonna go to Alabama and open up a climbing gym in Alabama during this time, and it did really well, of course, because there's nothing to do down here. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that. And he really brought something to this downtown area and took a big risk, doing that, and really admirable. And it really truly built a community.
Birmingham is a big city, but it's also a really small city too, man. So the friends that you make and the enemies that you make, or whatever, it comes back. It comes back around, which I think is a good thing, man. Consequences. The interactions that you have with people have consequences later.
Yeah, they reverberate.
Which is awesome.
They have effects.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's a great thing. It is such a small, in a lot of ways, a small community. So that if you help someone 10 years ago, you can say, hey man, we randomly ran into each other that time. Do you remember when I helped you? Yeah. Or if you're an ass.
Yeah.
And
I remember you. Oh no, I know you.
Yeah, exactly.
That happens. I feel like that happens a lot.
Both of those things have definitely happened to me, and that's definitely a lesson I've had to learn.
With the climbing gym, it's happened to Joe and I a lot for sure. It's like, well, somebody that we had maybe a negative experience with or something like that, and we'll run into them. We're like, hey, don't think I didn't forget. I don't know. Especially with the World Games coming here, and what is that? What is it? 2020, right?
Yeah,
the World Games.
man.
So now we got a climbing event, an international climbing event, gonna be in Birmingham. I don't know. That's really exciting for us. It's and seeing it coming into, the Olympics and stuff. It's a big validator. And Joe and I went to a viewing of, and our manager went to a viewing of this film. Free Solo with Alex Honnold. He's Free Solo.
Man.
Things I don't
El Capitan.
El Capitan. In the Dawn Wall project now, this stuff is it's getting more and more mainstream.
So you've got a big, cool shaped wall.
Cool random shaped wall
with a bunch of holes in it.
Yeah, with a bunch of holes in it. And so what we have, and then we have these essentially plastic holes. They don't feel like plastic, cheap plastic stuff, but they're these awesome textured climbing holes that are designed and people do it for profession, literally shape these things, and professional climbers who have climbed all over the world, and they're sitting there shaping these holds that replicate this famous climb out of South Africa or this
really
or that.
That's
absolutely
funny.
Just some funny stuff. They're
that's cool.
It's kind of cool, and these people are shaping this stuff from all over the place. And
one thing that I think a lot of people don't really get is that once you get, 6 feet off the ground, you feel the fact that you have to hold yourself to this wall and you don't want to fall. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
it is, as soon as you take those first steps up the wall, you feel that desire to not fall off of this cliff kind of feeling, which is fun. It's a rush. Yeah. It's cool. And there's your adventure for the day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. You get to have that adventure. You get to have that and that problem solving aspect. There's always another step. There's always another challenge right there waiting for you, because we will always have something there to like challenge you and to for you to want to make a new, want to make some progression.
Yeah, man. It's we're as humans, if you don't. And I talked about it in the very first episode. If you don't sharpen your knife, sharpen yourself every day,
sharpen yourself. That's exactly what you're honing yourself.
I know some people talk about some damage that occurs to their tendons. That may be one of the few things you really have to watch out for as far as longevity doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. But, this is like anything else, being responsible in how you do anything,
Totally.
Just like, runners and knees and all. I like to run a lot too. You just have to take care of your body, listen to your body.
Something that will make this way easier is, and this is, I climbed for a little while, didn't really think about it this way, is when you climb a ladder, when you go up a ladder, you aren't pulling yourself up the ladder with your arms. You're walking up the ladder, you're just holding yourself to the ladder with your hands. And if you can accomplish that going up a wall, it'll be like climbing a ladder. But at the top, you feel like you just climbed a mountain. It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
bouldering
really
is a really cool thing, man.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun, which is cool. It's cool you mentioned the ladder. Like if you can climb a ladder, we literally have things that you can get up over at the gym. I mean, that's what's so fun about it. There's we have everything from if you can get up to the top of a normal ladder to stuff that a few people in the Southeast could possibly do. You know what I mean? So we have everything. That's the other thing that I forgot to mention earlier is they're all right next to each other. It's not like you have some super elite section over here where only the crazy hardcore guys can climb, and over here you have a beginner section. It's not like that. It's sometimes the hardest thing in the ever is is right next to this really easy thing for intermediate. So you get to
have
watch,
people
you get to participate.
Yes, man, that's
so
cool.
everybody's participating together. So it doesn't create this thing where you feel like,
oh, I'm over here.
I'm over here. You don't feel ostracized or anything. You're just you're doing the same. You're literally. And that's the thing too.
That's cool,
and it's still
man.
a game, it's like anything else. We don't, because it's kind of silly, right? We're climbing up to the top of these things, right? And that's our big success. That's our big release. That's let's be honest.
Awesome.
It's awesome, but it's also kind of silly. It's a silly game. It's nothing to be taken too seriously, right?
There you go. Yeah, I was at a JH Ranch in Northern California. It's got a few outdoor obstacle courses. And I'm climbing a wall. I can't get up this one section of the wall, and I'm getting mad and angry and pissed and freaking out and screaming on the wall, all this stuff. And I get down to the bottom because I didn't finish it. I couldn't get to the top of this wall, and the whole group was kind of watching, kind of felt awkward, And a dude comes up to me and goes, "It's just a wall, man." And I was like, "You know what? You're right, buddy."
Yeah. Just well, that's what's funny. You said that you couldn't get to the top of the wall. That's exactly then you're on the perfect thing, because really at first it's not, when somebody first comes in, we want them to succeed really quickly and right away, because if somebody tries to get on stuff that's too hard for them, they don't succeed at all, then it becomes more intimidating, and
totally.
We don't want that. We want people to feel welcome. It's about 99% of climbing is failure, because in all of our experience, as soon as you start getting real serious about it, we rarely succeed. We're always failing, because that's the point. That becomes the point. Can you imagine the feeling of trying this small little thing, hundreds of times over the course of 2 or 3 years, because the climbing season is in winter when it's cold and the friction's good. Can you imagine that first time you succeed? It's
That'll get you, man.
It'll get you. That's the only downside about these boards is you're like, fast, you can fall, obviously, right? I've fallen going about 33, 34 miles an hour. I was in a t-shirt and some jeans, right? Oh, of course, I'll always wear my helmet. That's like,
Dude,
I never go ride,
you.
like even if I'm going putting around, I always have a helmet on. I mean, but that's still, helmet and gloves are like my minimum. Like, I don't feel comfortable in my back parking lot without helmet and gloves, so it's like not, it just become part of what I do. Is like, don't ride without it. But yeah, I fell one time, like, well, I was in a helmet and gloves, but I was in a t-shirt going like 33, 34 miles an hour.
Gosh, man.
And I, ate up my back for sure,
What happened?
And, I hit just, have you ever seen, like, when asphalt gets hot and like cars park onto it, it gets like wavy?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, a lot of times around sewer.
Yeah. It has this like wave effect, and like, and especially when like big trucks park there, and it creates this wave kind of effect. And I like hit one of those and like pulled my truck weird, and I just like got bucked off. Went high side. And I know how to fall. Like, I mean, I rolled it out. I wasn't like, I definitely wasn't like injured. But I was scraped. I was scraped up, I was like scraped up like really bad. You're like skidding and rolling. I did like 4 or 5 rolls going like 35 in a t-shirt on asphalt. I mean, that'll chew you up.
Yeah, man.
And I felt that for like a month. But now I have this like awesome hoodie that has like it's got like Kevlar lined, and it's like and it's got like padding in the elbows and the back.
Yeah, that hoodie right there. It looks normal.
Yeah,
it looks like a normal hoodie, but it has Kevlar in it.
Kevlar in it, and it's got like these big pads.
Talking about skateboards versus motorcycles, and you're like, dude, these skateboards go fast enough. They get you around so that, I think you said it, like, it tickles that, or it scratches that itch.
Scratches that itch. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it tickles you depending on what you're after.
Sure.
But I was about to mention that myself. Is I used to be into Harleys a lot too. I had this awesome, like when I was in the Army. I mean, like so I was in Special Operations Forces, right? So I was a Green Beret and stuff, and so everybody said, that was a interesting community to be a part of, to be sure. And it was said, you gotta have a couple things. You gotta have a Rolex, and you gotta have a Harley, and you gotta have a divorce. Those are the two things. I had 2 of them, but luckily I don't. Yeah. Luckily I never had a divorce at the time. I don't know why I have that nice of a watch. I don't ever, but times are weird. But that was a thing back then, and
that's funny.
Yeah, it's funny, and funny thing. So I rode around a lot on this, like, I mean, my Harley was pretty badass, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a nice bike. Like, I had it completely customized. I had like air suspension on it. It was a crazy. I like to tinker with stuff.
Yeah,
I like to customize. I like to do that stuff. So I did that with Harleys, and like, my goodness, and I had a $35,000 motorcycle.
Which is easy to do.
Which was super easy. It was beautiful, of course, but it was a $35,000 motorcycle that was worth nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Those was worth 18 or 19.
Those
right?
that you pay for. You don't get on the tail.
You don't get on that. Yeah, absolutely. And it's dangerous, And I started having more and more kids. Like, I have a time. I started having kids, really, and
man.
And my wife didn't like, and I was never really good at putting around on a motorcycle, to be honest with you. Like,
I know,
I was
right
really
there.
bad
It's
at it.
at your wrist.
So when I was like riding a motorcycle, I would like actually ride it pretty hard, and that's like nothing but trouble for me.
The temptation is there, man.
It's there.
It's
and
right at your fingertips.
And that's why, I was on sport bikes for a long time, and then I was like, all right, cool, I'll get a Harley, I'll get something chill, some old man bike, but no, that's not what happened, And but that's what's cool about these skateboards. I get both of these itches are scratched, so to speak, right? Like, I get to like do that customization and that building and that design stuff, which I really enjoy. Like, the building aspect of these things, I almost enjoy more than riding them. They're a blast to ride, but like building these like custom like skinned enclosures and like in carbon fiber, and like, I'll tell you, man, like going 35 miles an hour on a skateboard, to get the same satisfaction on a motorcycle, you'd have to be going 100.
You
really, truly,
for sure.
I promise you, like 100 is, 100 on a bike, 35 on a skateboard. But guess what? I've fallen going 33, 34 on a skateboard, and it was fine. I mean, I'm not saying you don't want to look for this. This is not something you want to do, but
that can kill you. That speed,
of course, anything,
can kill
right?
you.
But I was like really fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like scraped up for sure because I wasn't wearing, I wasn't wearing my jacket and stuff, which I always wear now. Obviously, I was in a helmet and everything, but I'm not speeding around 100 miles an hour on my Harley or on my bike when I have 3 kids. Like, I mean, like, it's, I feel like it's at least a little bit more responsible. And like, and my kid has a board now too, and we ride them together. And it's like, and he's 5, and like we ride our boards together, and it's, I don't know. It's just fun. It's been really good for me, and I feel like good for our family. It's been gotten me out of that military life, that military zone that I was in for a long time, and like got me into a different direction. And needed something to like pour. I don't know, I guess pour yourself into, and, my wife's working, and stuff, and I don't want to be sitting there playing video games with my kids watching, because, I used to like that stuff, and then, like, it was like, I used to play a lot of video games and stuff, too, and it was a lot of fun, and then one time when my oldest started getting older, and he, like, wanted to play video games all the time, I was like, hold on, like, this isn't cool.
Wait a second, what are we doing?
Wait a second, like, this isn't how we're going to spend our time,
Yeah,
and
man.
So I started tinkering around, like, I'd rather be tinkering around with stuff and having him like build stuff, and we're trying stuff, and we're building him a board, and we're doing this stuff, and then we go ride, and like that's like way cooler than like messing around with like the video games or whatever, man. which I enjoy that stuff, like nothing against it, but at the same time like it was just really convicting to me at the time, like that was like how I would spend my some of my free time was like playing these video games, and then my son would see me doing this, which is fine, it's not like I was hiding it from him or anything weird, but then he was doing it, and like, how could I be like, no, you can't play anymore?
I'm the same way with video games, man. Like, video games are designed and built to be addictive, to challenge you, and then you get the coin, or you get the jewel, or you get the whatever, and it's just to make you continue playing the game. And really, at the end of it, and nothing against video games, like you said, nothing against video games, but at the end of the day, you just sat around, you didn't get better, really. You didn't really get better at anything. The only thing you got better at was that game. And then what is that worth?
It can be super easy, like at home, and I know other parents understand this too, like with like TV and like video games and stuff. Like, you're tired, it's so much easier to be like, all right, cool, yeah, go play Xbox, like, right, like, or go watch your show or whatever, and put it on and just like zone out, like, and it can be so much easier to do that, but there's so many other things that you can you can do and like pour yourself into.
Totally.
And absolutely, but by the same token, like, I'm not against video games at all. Good video games, not some like stupid stuff. Like, I would almost rather my kid be playing a video game than watching some like show, right?
I agree.
And here's why: it's because they're actually interacting, they're doing something, they're
problem solving.
Cool, problem solving, they're coordinating, especially like trying to figure out something that's frustrating and working through that frustration. I mean, this is like, once again, let me be clear: this is not like something that you like. That's video games can be used as a babysitter. That's not fair.
Right.
But used sparingly and along with other things, I think it can be a kind of a good tool, to be honest. But it's all like anything, with moderation, it can be a right tool.
Like you mentioned, the hand-eye coordination thing. If I could recommend to anybody that wants to improve their hand-eye coordination, juggling. You can do it in a very small area.
You're a juggler?
Well, I can do three. I can do three.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I can't go do anything, nothing too crazy, but I can do three, I can juggle. And it's a great exercise. They say that doing the juggling is like a exercise for your brain compared to like doing really hard math problems or like a really hard crossword puzzle.
Yeah.
So you know how to juggle too?
Of course I do. Yeah, I used to juggle 4. I can do I'd say like definitely a lot more than the average person with 3. I used to could do 4 pretty solidly, and I flirted with 5 at one point, but this was years ago.
So, man, see, you're amazing.
I used to be able to juggle a bit, but yeah, no, I love it. Juggling is a lot of fun. I try to teach people how, and it's something that it's actually a game for me too. I really enjoy teaching people how to juggle because you can like kind of show, because people have no concept of how to juggle, like what it is. Right. They think that the whole hand motion is completely different than it actually is most of the time.
Yeah,
it's just kind of funny. I don't know. Sometimes it comes up. I don't know why, but though, but it's fun to try to teach people.
Juggling? Who said juggling?
Yeah, who said that? Like, or who doesn't know? Let me try to teach you. I need 10 minutes, and we can get you going.
Yeah,
you know?
man. I've taught a ton of people to
me
juggle.
Too.
It's really fun.
It is. Teaching somebody to juggle is a lot of fun because you can teach people you can give people all the skills they need to learn how to do it decently in like, I'd say, 5-10 minutes?
Yeah.
5-10 minutes, and they can get like, I've taught, some, granted they've been coordinated, but I've like literally taught some people who could do like, 4 or 5, juggling rounds, they can do it like, they can actually fully juggle in like 10 minutes. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, which is fun,
Dude, you can juggle now.
Yeah, you've got it. You've got it. You just, you did one jug. I don't know what you call it. One rotation. You jugged
You did a whole jug.
You did a whole jug. Congratulations. You did one full rotation, man. Good job,
They say it's like it's a really good exercise for people with Alzheimer's or having like
no kidding.
Or even just like old people who find their brain. Your brain's a muscle, man. You got to flex it.
Absolutely.
And so they see that it's really good for like people that are in nursing homes whose days maybe get really repetitive and they watch the same TV shows over and over and every day, that kind of thing. Get in, juggle, because when you throw that ball into the air and you see it go up, the calculations that your brain has to do in order for it to land back in your hand.
Where's it going to be? What do I got to do with this other one? What's happening?
Those calculations, that's a major mental exercise that just goes over and over and over again. And a lot of times when I'm like editing at work, I'm stuck at work editing, I'll either take a 15-minute break to either stretch my hamstrings because I've got some whacked up hamstrings, man.
You gotta stay limber.
You gotta stay loose. Or I'll just walk up and down the hall and juggle for a few minutes, and it's like my brain got to completely stretch in a different way.
Stretch and reset. Yeah, almost. Yeah, absolutely. That's cool.
And the same thing goes with boarding, in that it scratches that itch. Just get a little bit of wind in my face, man, and it's just like
I was saying before, like on the community, like kind of exhilarating, kind of wakes you up, get that blood flowing. It's absolutely, yeah.
So whatever it is that you find that does that for you, I encourage everybody that's listening to find that thing, because your life will be richer because of it. You'll be less stressed out. You'll be happier. You'll feel better. You'll be more even.
It really is an experience. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, riding around on these things is something that's it's different. Like than regular skateboarding. And nothing like regular skateboarders like typically like hate.
They do
electric skateboarders, and they do. And I understand that there's some animosity, but it's like, I mean, it's just not even the same thing, right? That's like some like BMX biker being mad at you because you're riding a Harley, right? It's just not the same.
It's
thing.
a different vehicle.
And I understand. I'm like, man, like, and I hate that. And I really, I hate that there is this like somewhat of a divide there, because I have a lot of friends who are like real skaters, and they're trying to like
get off that thing, man.
No, and they're not. They're cool because they see it, because I've been able to preach them. It's more people from the outside who don't really understand like what these hardcore skaters who don't really understand like what it is or whatever. And I mean, they're hardcore skaters, right? They hate everything. Right? You gotta realize you gotta realize who you're trying to convince. You're like, all right, man. One soul at a time is all I can do.
There you go, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're doing that through Birmingham Boulders and First Avenue Rocks, and you're doing that just with random people that you run into, man. Once again, I got to really thank you for reaching out and being my friend. And,
absolutely, man. I've enjoyed it.
And for doing this podcast, man. It's been really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I've really enjoyed it too, man. I really appreciate the time. It's been a lot of fun.
Big thank you to you. I'll have all the links listed below. Just go to the show notes at Adler.tv. Tim Diegmann, thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It is Diegmann, right? Not Diegmann?
Okay, so it's one of those things that's like hard to want to even correct people on, because who cares? It's like Diegmann, and Diegmann. I've heard all of them, and like we've always said Diegmann, but I feel like we're skipping a lot of the pronunciation of our last name. So I'm just like,
you're so nice.
I mean, like I was like, yeah, you're probably more right than I am.
You're so nice. You haven't even corrected me. I've been saying
but Diegmann, but but if you look it up, it's actually it's more accurate. So what are you gonna say? You know what I mean? Like
it's your name, man.
Yeah,
you can decide.
It's just not that important to me.
thank you so much for checking out this episode of Adler.tv. At the end of every episode, I like to feature a different non-profit organization, and this week I want to tell you about the A-Skate Foundation. They help kids with autism and other special needs use skateboarding as a form of social and occupational therapy. They teach kids with autism how to skate, how to fall, and how to get back up again. If you go to an A-Skate event, you're going to see kids engaging socially with eye contact and language, things that might seem small. But these small things will make the parents absolutely tear up because their child may have not said a word or made a facial expression in a really, really long time. A-Skate does some phenomenal things through skateboarding for kids, so to donate, volunteer, or for more information, you can go to askate.org. That's the letter A, the word skate.org. Next week on the show, I'll be sitting down and chatting with Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist John Archibald. He's been called the voice of the aggrieved in Alabama, and he's been a staple of Southern journalism with national impact for over 30 years. John Archibald and I agree and disagree on a few things, so it should be a great episode. And wherever you may be catching the show, YouTube or on podcasts or whatever, please do hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. It really does help, and I really, really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Should be good.